Hi, welcome to MoneyKetchup. Maya core believed in signs. Not the mystical, star-aligned kind, but the loud, clattering, coffee-spilling kind. The sign arrived on a Tuesday, in the form of a $487 check engine light and a $3.85 latte. She was 26, a marketing coordinator at a mid-sized firm in Austin, Texas, and she was perpetually, profoundly, and performatively broke. Her paycheck was a phantom. It arrived with a digital chime on Friday morning and evaporated by Sunday brunch. She lived in a cycle of subscription services she never used, takeout containers that multiplied like tribbles, and a closet full of clothes with tags still attached, bought on flash sales she couldn't afford. The $487 was for a sensor. The mechanic, a patient man named Chet who had seen 1,000 Maya cores, explained it gently. Your car's crying, miss. It's telling you it's hungry for a part. If you ignore it, the crying turns into screaming, and screaming costs about $1,400 more. Maya nodded, swiped her credit card, and felt the familiar, sickening lurch in her stomach. That was the feeling of the month ending before the money did. The $3.85 latte was her consolation prize. As she stood in line, she opened her banking app. Checking, $211. Savings, $19.43. Credit card debt, $4,200. She looked at the latte menu. A large oat milk vanilla latte with an extra shot was $7.20. She ordered the small. The barista, a pierced angel named Kai, gave her a sympathetic smile. Rough one. Just the usual, Maya said. The economy of being me. She drove home, the check engine light a malevolent orange eye glaring from the dashboard. Her apartment was a curated disaster of lifestyle aspirationalism. On her coffee table lay an unread copy of Atomic Habits next to a half-empty bottle of $48 cold-pressed juice. Her rent was 52% of her take-home pay. She had a vibe budget, not a real one. That night, she couldn't sleep. She scrolled through Instagram, watching a woman her age unpack a sustainable grocery haul that cost more than Maya's car payment. Then she saw a post from an account called @The Frugal Fox. It wasn't a photo of a minimalist apartment or a beige pantry. It was a spreadsheet, a glorious, terrifying, color-coded spreadsheet. The caption read, asterisk, Year 1, saved $5,000 by making coffee at home. Year 2, used that $5,000 to pay off a credit card. Year 3, used the freed-up payment to start an IRA. The latte effect isn't a myth. It's math. Asterisk. Maya scoffed. Then she did the math. $7.20 a day, 5 days a week, was $36 a week. $144 a month. $1,728 a year. That was just the latte. She added the daily avocado toast from the cafe downstairs, $11. $55 a week. $220 a month. $2,640 a year. Combined, for $1,368. Her credit card debt. She stared at the numbers until they blurred. The sign hadn't been the check engine light. It had been the small latte. The compromise. Just the usual of financial mediocrity. The next morning, she didn't go to the cafe. She stood in her kitchen, which was mostly a prop for her sourdough starter that had died months ago, and made a pot of Folgers. It tasted like regret and burnt rubber. She poured it into a thermos she'd gotten from a corporate event and added a glug of oat milk. It was terrible, but she drank it. That was day 1. The first month of trying to save money is not a habit. It's a hostage negotiation. Your brain, addicted to the dopamine of convenience, stages a full-scale rebellion. Maya's rebellion took the form of a Tuesday afternoon. Her coworker, Jenna, was ordering sushi from the place with the spicy tuna roll that tasted like joy. Maya? The usual? No, Maya said, the word tasting like a lie. I brought lunch. She had brought lunch. A sad lentil soup from a can, eaten cold because the office microwave had a biological hazard warning. Jenna raised an eyebrow. Oh, are you okay? That was the thing about saving money. It wasn't just a personal finance strategy. It was a social liability. It invited concern, pity, or, worst of all, the evangelical fervor of the already frugal. Maya created a system. She called it the spare change revolution. It wasn't about austerity. It was about agency. She downloaded a budgeting app that forced her to categorize every single transaction. The first week was humiliating. $4.99 for an emergency Snickers bar, $12 for a forgotten streaming service she hadn't watched in 8 months, $26 for 2 rounds of margaritas she didn't even want but bought to fit in. She unsubscribed from 7 email lists. The psychological effect was immediate and bizarre. Without the daily barrage of last chance, 30% off, the urge to buy things she didn't need simply evaporated. It was like realizing you'd been living next to a construction site and only now noticing the noise. She also discovered the library. Not the academic library, but the public library, a grand limestone building she'd driven past for 3 years. It had books, yes, but also free movies, free audiobooks, free Wi-Fi, and a surprising amount of peace. She replaced her $14.99 per month Audible subscription with Libby, the library app. She replaced her $15 per month yoga app with YouTube. She replaced the feeling of buying something new with the feeling of finding something free. The car sensor got fixed. She paid cash. Her savings account dropped back to $3.41. But the credit card didn't move. The hardest part was the shame. Not the shame of being broke, but the shame of realizing how long she had been broke by choice. How many lattes? How many unnecessary treat-yourself purchases? How many times had she said, "I deserve this," to justify a purchase that actively undermined what she truly deserved? Peace of mind. By the 3rd month, something shifted. The pain period ended, not because saving became easy, but because the alternative, the panic, the lurch, the orange eye of the check engine light, became unbearable. Maya had saved $800. It wasn't a fortune, but it was a fortress. It was the difference between a crisis and an inconvenience. The shift was internal. She stopped thinking of saving as deprivation and started thinking of it as prepaying for future freedom. Every time she skipped the latte, she wasn't losing $7.20. She was buying a tiny piece of a future where her car didn't make her cry. She learned the mechanics of habit formation. James Clear, the author of that unread book on her coffee table, would have been proud. She didn't just try to save money. She redesigned her environment. The 24-hour rule: any non-essential purchase over $30 had to sit in an online shopping cart for 24 hours. 90% of the time, she forgot about it. The visible pain technique. She switched to paying with physical cash for variable expenses like groceries and eating out. Handing over actual bills hurt in a way that tapping a phone never did. She read a study that said people spend 100% more when paying with credit cards than cash. She became the study's poster child. The automation trapdoor. She set up an automatic transfer of $50 from every paycheck into a high-yield savings account she couldn't easily access. It was a set-it-and-forget-it strategy. She couldn't spend what she never saw. The no-spend challenge. Once a week, she declared a no-spend day. No coffee, no lunch out, no online shopping. Just her, the lentil soup, and the library. The first few felt like prison. By month 3, they felt like a vacation from consumerism. The biggest victory was invisible. It happened in the break room at work. Jenna was buying a new handbag. "It's only $300, she said. "I mean, why low, right?" Maya smiled. She had $300. But she also had a vision. She had mapped out her debt. $4,200. At her current rate of saving $200 a month, it would take 21 months. But if she could increase that to $400, 10.5 months. She wasn't just saving money. She was buying time. Time without the weight of that debt. "You only live once," Maya agreed. "And I want to live the next one without a minimum payment." Jenna looked at her like she'd started speaking ancient Greek. But that was fine. Maya wasn't doing this for Jenna. The universe, it turns out, has a sense of humor about carefully laid financial plans. It was a Saturday. Maya was feeling smug. Her savings account had just crossed $1,500. Her credit card debt was down to $3,100. She had created a beautiful, color-coded debt payoff chart on her wall, and she was coloring in the squares with a fierce, glittery joy. Then her phone rang. Her younger brother, Rohan, a sophomore in college, was crying. "Maya, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. My car got towed, and I have a $600 ticket I didn't pay, and now they want $850 to get it out, and I can't ask Mom and Dad. They're already struggling with the mortgage, and I..." Maya's hand tightened on the phone. Every financial instinct, she had screamed, "No." That $1,500 was hers. It was the latte-less mornings, the cold lentil soup, the library instead of the movies. It was her freedom. But saving money habits, she was learning, weren't just about building a wall around yourself. They were about building a foundation strong enough to hold the people you love. "I'll Venmo you $500, she said. "That's half. You need to figure out the rest. And Rohan, you're going to pay me back. $25 a month. No interest. But you're going to learn what this feels like." He agreed, still sniffling. She sent the money. Her savings dropped to $1,000. The debt payoff chart suddenly looked farther away. She sat in her apartment, staring at the wall, and felt the old lurch return. The victim feeling. Why does this always happen to me? But then something else happened. A quieter voice. This isn't a setback. This is the test. Anyone can save money when nothing goes wrong. The habit isn't real until something does. She had two choices: abandon the whole project, buy a $7.20 latte, and return to the familiar misery of performative brokenness. Or she could accept the hit, adjust the plan, and keep going. She made a pot of Folgers. It still tasted like burnt rubber, but now it tasted like resilience. Albert Einstein allegedly called compound interest the eighth wonder of the world. He was talking about money, but Maya discovered it applied to habits, too. The small changes, repeated daily, had begun to multiply. The coffee. She had finally figured out how to make a decent oat milk latte at home. A $30 milk frother from Amazon and a $12 bag of decent beans lasted her a month. Her monthly coffee budget went from $144 to $12. The taste went from regret to pride. The groceries. She learned to cook 5 cheap, healthy meals: lentil soup, black bean tacos, vegetable stir-fry, pasta e sisi, and a breakfast oatmeal that didn't taste like cardboard. Her weekly grocery bill dropped from $120 to $55. The social life. She stopped saying, "I can't afford it," and started saying, "I'm prioritizing something else." Her real friends didn't care. The ones who did, she realized, were just spending buddies. She started hosting potlucks instead of going to restaurants. She suggested hiking instead of brunch. She discovered that the best conversations happened on park benches, not in overpriced cocktail bars. The side hustle. With her evenings free from mindless scrolling through online shops, she had time. She started freelancing as a social media copywriter. An hour a night, 3 nights a week. It brought in an extra $400 a month, every dollar of which went straight to the credit card. The debt payoff chart transformed. The squares filled in faster. $3,100 became $2,500. $2,500 became $1,800. $1,800 became $900. Each payment felt like a small exorcism, banishing a ghost of past impulsivity. She also discovered a strange new emotion: boredom with consumerism. She walked through a mall and felt nothing. The flash sales, the limited editions, the dopamine hits of a new package on her doorstep, they had all lost their power. She had replaced the high of buying with the higher of building. It happened on a Tuesday, exactly 1 year after the check engine light. The same day, the same bank app, the same small latte that started it all. Maya woke up early. She made her homemade latte. She opened the app. Checking, $2,100. Savings, $3,400. Credit card debt, $0. She stared at the zeros. They looked back at her, calm and infinite. She refreshed the page. Still zeros. She had done it. For $1,200, vanquished. $1,460 saved in interest she would never pay. $3,400 in the bank, waiting for an emergency or an opportunity. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She didn't post about it on Instagram. She just sat in her kitchen, holding the warm mug, and felt something she hadn't felt in years. Quiet. The check engine light in her soul had finally turned off. But the real victory wasn't the number. It was what the number represented. She had proven something to herself. She was not a victim of her paycheck. She was not defined by her impulses. She was a person who could set a goal, endure the pain, withstand the setbacks, and arrive at the destination. Saving money is not an end. It is a means. And Maya finally understood what she was saving for. The first year was about survival. The second year was about purpose. With no credit card debt, her savings rate exploded. The $400 a month she had been throwing at interest now went straight to her savings account. Combined with the side hustle and her newfound frugal habits, she was saving $1,000 a month. The question emerged, for what? She made a new list, not of things to buy, but of things to become. A homeowner, not a big house, but a small one. A place with a garden where she could grow tomatoes that cost less than the ones at Whole Foods. A traveler, not a resort traveler, but a slow traveler. She wanted to see Japan, but she wanted to see it on her own terms. A 3-month trip, staying in cheap goose houses, eating from convenience stores, spending money on experiences, not souvenirs. A generous person. She wanted to help Rohan pay off his own student loans, not as a bailout, but as a match. For every dollar he saved, she would give him 50 cents. A savings matching grant. A free person. She wanted the option to quit her job someday. Not because she hated it, but because she loved the feeling of choosing to be there. The habits that had felt like a prison, the no-spend days, the home-brewed coffee, the library visits, now felt like keys. Each one unlocked a door to a different future. 2 years after the check engine light, Maya threw a party. It was a potluck, of course. Everyone brought a dish. She supplied the drinks, a single bottle of decent champagne and a pitcher of homemade iced tea. Her apartment was different. The unread self-help books were gone. The cold-pressed juice was gone. In their place was a small, framed print on the wall. It wasn't an inspirational quote. It was a screenshot of her banking app from 2 years ago. Checking, $211. Savings, $19.43. Next to it, a handwritten note. Start where you are. Use what you have. Do what you can. Jenna came, carrying a store-bought salad. She had a new handbag, of course. So, Jenna said, looking around, "You finally got your life together, huh?" Maya smiled. It was a different smile than the one she'd had 2 years ago. Softer, but stronger. "I didn't get it together," she said. "I just started paying attention." She told Jenna about the spare change. Not the big wins, but the small ones. The $3.85 latte. The 24-hour rule. The library. The $500 setback that wasn't a setback. The compound effect of 1,000 tiny choices. "You make it sound so easy," Jenna said. "It's not easy," Maya said. "It's just simple. There's a difference. Easy is a latte. Simple is making it at home. Easy is a credit card. Simple is a budget. Easy is instant. Simple is patient." That night, after everyone left, Maya sat on her couch. She opened her banking app one more time. Checking, $5,200. Savings, $12,000. Retirement account, $8,500. The numbers didn't define her, but they described her. They described the 730 days of small, consistent choices. They described the mornings she drank burnt rubber coffee. They described the evenings she said no to margaritas and yes to spreadsheets. She thought about the woman she used to be, the one who believed that spending was the same as living, the one who thought treat yourself was a philosophy, not a marketing slogan. She didn't hate that woman. She pitied her, gently. That woman wasn't lazy or stupid. She was just unarmed. She had never been taught that small habits, repeated over time, could move mountains. Or pay off credit cards. Maya finished the last of the champagne. She rinsed the glass. She put it away. Tomorrow, she would make coffee at home. Tomorrow, she would pack a lentil soup for lunch. Tomorrow, she would transfer $50 to savings without thinking about it. The habits were no longer a revolution. They were just her life. And her life, for the first time in a long time, felt like it was hers. She turned off the light. The apartment was dark, but the future was not. The future was a slow, steady, beautiful accumulation of spare change, good decisions, and the quiet, unshakable knowledge that she could build anything she wanted, one small habit at a time. The check engine light was off, and it was never coming back on. Thanks for watching.